Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again. And that must mean that we're up here at Gobbler's Knob, waiting for the forecast from the world's most famous groundhog weatherman, Punxsutawney Phil, who's just about to tell us how much more winter we can expect.
And welcome into the Thom Abraham Show on this Groundhog Day edition. I am obviously not Thom Abraham. I am Smokey Mike. And in the little glass booth over there, he is known to the world as Coach Grizz, but to me, he is the one, the only, the Chad.
I'm sorry? What was that again?
I'm a god.
You're God.
I'm a god. I'm not the god. I don't think.
Excuse me?
I thought I'd throw a little Groundhog Day on there as well, as it is Groundhog Day. And yes, 6 more weeks of winter. Thanks that we get our weather, not from people that, went to school for this, or, people that, do this, for a living. We get it from a rodent. We get it from an
the
animal.
groundhog, yeah.
From the groundhog. I mean, it's fun.
Phil.
It's fun. It's funny. It's great. It's a great tradition. But it definitely stinks when it's right now. Last couple of days it's been kind of not so cold, but before it started raining and before we had all of this, it's been really cold. So you kind of expect what's going to come after this. So
God, you know what I could.
But I'm
go
not a
for?
weatherman, so
you know what I could go for right now? Some flapjacks.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
that went over my head for a second.
my
I thought the phone was ringing there.
Good. All right.
I had to pull
Anyway,
away.
we got a signing day edition right here. National Signing Day is today, even though it is the second signing day, and really not much is happening. So we're not going to be covering too much into it because it's very not many announcements are going to be happening during this 10 to 12 time slot.
Yeah.
So we're gonna we're still gonna give you updates and all that.
And Drew and Freddie did a great job this morning of breaking down everything. I mean, they had a chock full of guests that kind of tackled like every corner of Alabama, Auburn, SEC. What we need right now. So,
well, right now there's not much to say. I mean, it's still not. What was it that DeArmond said? It was going to be about 10% of the overall was going to happen today.
Yeah, and it's just like it's weird because it's just I feel like it's just an extra day. It's like a day that like if people were late, you know what I mean, or like somebody that like couldn't do it before. It's just a weird day. It doesn't seem like as big as it was before. You know what I mean?
I remember
it's the first day.
5 years ago, I actually filled in for Thom on a National Signing Day, which actually happened to be the very first major class that Kirby brought in. And Georgia was rocking and rolling that day. But that was probably, once we had the signing day in December, February's been more so of an afterthought. It's just like, all right, you're getting your final little pieces here, but you've gotten the meatloaf all the way to the last 5 minutes to where you have to have it sit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I mean, a lot of guys already, have committed, or guys are, are just kind of like on the fringe, but it's like, it's not some of your top tier. You know what I mean? It's not something that it's really eye catching. It's guys that are going to make an impact on a roster for sure. But it's funny how when they were talking earlier how certain recruits could kind of like bump up or go down based off like what program they might go to. So, it's just I don't really buy into it. I buy into what a coach can get out of an athlete and what the athlete can actually do on the field. I don't really buy into the whole being highly recruited and
a whole lot of development does matter, and I mean This is just the first part of the process.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, anyway, particulars before we get on to more topics on the show today. Phone number to get in, 256-576-4977. You can also follow us on Twitter and react to us on that platform. I'm at Rose Scholar. He is at Gwathney Chad. The station's at 977 ESPN. As well as you can follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/977ESPN. And on YouTube, you need to search for 977 ESPN The Zone. I got that all pretty much covered, right?
Yeah. check out the latest. Or we still have some Bubby's Diner over at our zone deal. So go to wzzn.halfoffdeal.com. You've got a few there that you can still get. Our Bad Daddies and Gibsons went, in a heartbeat. So make sure you're checking them out. So really, really, really go check them out. Help some great local businesses here in town, and some really great food, and kind of help you on the wallet a little bit. So,
Right.
yeah. Other than that, that's really it. I mean, we're everywhere. I know that right now we're on the stream. We're everywhere. Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube's, all that stuff. So yeah, hit us up there if you want to interact. Like Head of Steel is saying on Twitch. We will talk some sports, but he no Bachelor recap. No, so I'm.
What's
still
wrong with the Bachelor?
I'm still
recap?
I'm getting my information from him, so I will know as soon as he gives me the latest information.
Of the
But his
Bachelor?
latest analysis is like, I think some of the other girls don't like one of the other girls that hung outside the
my
house.
God.
There's a big issue where they just don't like each other. So I don't know. It's one thing.
Bachelor-
One thing she's better than everybody else. I don't know. I'm not there yet. So he watched it from afar. So he's given me the gist of what he saw.
We say Bachelor talk for what to watch for on TV, man, not for the first segment. Come on. We still got plenty of other stuff to go on right here. Anyway, oh my God. That just took a left turn that I did not expect. And
I mean, can we talk about last night's game?
Well, hold on.
That's what people want to hear, probably. That more than likely, that's what they want to hear. And we'll get to that with Nathan King later today, too. So.
Yeah, like we're getting Josh Carey in the next segment for Carey's Corner, talking about what is going on over at Toyota Field in the next few weeks, as well as see what. Got a little college baseball questions for him. See what he thinks about the SEC action coming up, because, I mean, last year with SEC baseball, we had a team not even make the weekend in a conference tournament and win the national championship in one Mississippi State. So SEC is still going to be loaded with talent. Bama should be rising up. Auburn should be starting to improve as well. But then you got the Vols. You got Mississippi State, Vandy. I mean, Arkansas, the Pigs probably will still be up on top 10. So we'll get his thoughts on that one. Nathan King, like you said, is going to be on at 11 o'clock. Now, first, I mean, we're going to talk about that basketball game, as well as we needed the Auburn guy more so than the Bama guy today, because Auburn's got more turmoil. So we need to discuss that more than with what's going on in Alabama right now, because what we're looking at Bama news-wise is a couple of people who is up in the air about signing with Alabama.
Exactly. And, I mean, Nathan does a great job and wrote a great article as well on the recap of last night's game. So it's going to be really fun to talk with him on how just loaded this bench is. I mean, it was ridiculous last night. I almost at one time I almost wanted to go to sleep, because I was like, you know what? Alabama is just going to do what Alabama does and kind of just get run out of the gym. And when they started coming back and got within 4, I think it was like 15 minutes into the second quarter. I mean, Alabama gave up 20 free throws in the first half. They gave up 39 attempts at the free throw line. You got to be kidding me. They had over 30 fouls or something like that. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to the point where what was going on last night for Alabama. I mean, it was a packed crowd. It was obviously a great atmosphere. Wes and Steve were there last night. ESPN's there. Jay Billis, Carl Ravage, who I think is a better baseball guy than he is a basketball play-by-play guy. But it's the same old, and we've been talking about it all year long with Alabama basketball. It's just there's no big man presence, and Auburn just made them look bad in the paint. You go look at the shot chart for Alabama. They put up over I think it was like 30-something threes. And you go look at the shot chart from 3, and it's all a bunch of hollow circles. I mean, and it's all over the 3. It's like a lot of it's not inside the paint. Like Auburn's is all all conjected into the same area. You know what I mean? It's all in the same little area where it's like they're all just taking it from basket layups, whatever, you know. And
Jabari Smith, Walker Kessler are two amazing players to just watch over. But the thing is that that's not really Auburn's most important player.
No.
And their most important player came through with the season-high 23 points off the bench last night, and one Mr. Wendell Green Jr. that led Bruce Pearl to go all sweep the leg throughout afterwards, doing the crane kick setup. From
It's weird.
Karate Kid.
You get like a more physical type of basketball the first round, and then you get that fast pace, which is what Alabama likes to play. And that's what Auburn can do, is they can go to their bench and they can get depth from their guards. And that's what Alabama, the thing is about Alabama, it's like they're trying to utilize, obvious. I don't know how many threes. I mean, even Wendell Green threw up a three that was, you know, Trae Young type stuff where it's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you thinking? You know what I mean? There's no reason for you to shoot that. Just because you're open doesn't mean you should shoot that. You know what I mean? Like, there were times where it's just Alabama's trying to shoot the three so much, and Alabama did a great job shooting the three last night. I think they shot over 30-something% from three. So they did a lot better in what you would have thought they should have won. It was just like I said, the big man presence inside and the way that Auburn was able to make so many, just regular shots. Easy 2-pointers, layups, dunks, stuff like that. And Walker Kessler with, I think it was about 8 blocks, something like that. But Nathan can break that all down later. But it was just one of those games where Alabama obviously was hitting the three, but there's no big man presence. And when you're trying to do that, you really do need that. Like, that's the reason why we were talking to Bo yesterday. Why are the 76ers so good? One of Joel Embiid. So you need a big man to facilitate and a guy that, can really take away on offense.
That's one thing, too, that I just look at with this Alabama team. And, I mean, you live and die by the three, it's going to burn you. And it's one of those things is that it kind of reminds me of those old, those early mid-2000 Billy Donovan Florida teams. And they were great at shooting the three, but they lived and died by the three, and that's why you would have Florida as a 3 seed lose to a 14 sometimes during that particular year, and then also you would have them win back-to-back national championships. But next up for the Crimson Tide will be the Kentucky Wildcats. That's in Coleman, right? In Coleman. Coverage on the Zone will be starting at 6 p.m. Saturday. You can listen to that right after UAH and West Florida take the court. And then let's see, do we have any? Our next coverage of live sports will be UAH basketball tomorrow night, right after the drive, as UAH will take on Valdosta State. Moulton will be on the call for that one. And let's see what else we got going on here. Before we get to a break and get to Josh Carey, there's one last little thing. As the Washington football team has decided to make their name. And you saw it, like whoever did the helicopter around RFK last night, trying to like get that little detail.
Try to show that
put that camera in there.
Where it said Commandos.
It looked like Commandos, but it's actually Commanders. If you want to, for your Dallas Cowboy fans, I'll help you out with this one. Commies for short.
That's what I'm like, or what never mind. That's behind the scenes. what we're called as Grissom grads. Literally, like, can you imagine now Commanders? You call them the comms, the commies. I mean, literally the Commandos. Like, it's the most ridiculous name that you could have come up with. But if you can come up with, I think this is cool. Would be cool if you could come up with like a cool logo, kind of like, which I think it's going to be obviously I think I saw the helmet. It's going to be a W. You know what I mean? It's going to be that W. So at least they can keep that W on the side. I'm okay with that. I don't like the jerseys because I don't understand. It looks like Arena or XFL jerseys, to be honest with you. And
starting to sound like Abraham.
Oh, I'm just being dead serious. I mean, what was wrong with just keeping the original color scheme and the original jerseys, but have just Commanders across the top? I mean, how you kept it easy for the last 2 years with just it looked good with the numbers. So I mean, keep the numbers up there or something like that. That would have been really cool. Because I mean, everyone needs like I mean, it's tradition. I mean, it's still that franchise. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of weird that they went the red, black, and gold or whatever. You know what I mean?
I mean, isn't it ironic and not really surprising that when Tom Brady retires, and yesterday we're on the show, we're discussing Tom Brady, we're giving us our thoughts on Tom Brady's history, his legacy, and when I come in for the drive in that afternoon, not only did the Brady news get completely put to the second burner, it got put all the way to the end of the.
Yeah. It was like, hey, Brady's retiring. Okay, cool. There's this. Oh, all right. Well,
then we get Harbaugh going to the Vikings, and now they're saying it's pretty much a formality after him meeting with the Vikings. Like, he's meeting with the Vikings today, and a lot of people are saying that, or not a lot of people, but On 3, out of the Michigan people on 3, I don't remember the name off the top of my head, Chris Ballas, that's who it is, put out on Twitter that this is pretty much a formality, that Harbaugh will become a Viking. I am not happy about this as a Bears fan because I wanted Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And it would actually have been quite hilarious to see Harbaugh and develop Justin Fields of all quarterbacks, where you get your Michigan and Ohio State rivalry going on right there. But oh my God.
No, I completely agree
and then
with you.
you get this one. And this one we'll discuss more in detail and later on in the show. But
man, it would have been great to have David today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it happened because, I mean, he's a Miami guy.
Because now not only are the Vikings rumors starting to go in, it went from zero talk of Harbaugh to the Dolphins to I've seen more like trends going towards Harbaugh and Miami than Harbaugh to Minnesota because of the quote that Stephen Ross had that he wouldn't go after Harbaugh while he was at Michigan. But if Harbaugh wanted to take an NFL job, Stephen Ross would start being like, all right, yeah, let's go. And speaking of Stephen Ross, that Brian Flores lawsuit is one that we will discuss later on in the show because we need to hit a break here in the next minute or so. But I think there's just way too much that a lot of people are overshadowing. And the one thing is that you better Belichick yourself before you wreck yourself. And I mean that because I meant to use that exactly because Belichick did not check himself before he wrecked himself. And all of a sudden, the wrong Brian gets sent a text message, which, anyway, we're going to go off of that right now. We're going to have some baseball talk coming up in the next segment with Josh Carey. And you are listening to the Thom Abraham Show right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Heads up, sports bettors. Right now you can try VSiN All Access free for 30 days with no credit card required. Visit vsin.com/free month to sign up now.
UFC Fight Night, Jack Hermanson will face Sean Strickland in a battle of top 10 middleweights Saturday, February 5th in Las Vegas. Strickland, the lower-ranked fighter. He's the favorite, -210. Hermanson at +180. The latest odds for NBA Rookie of the Year have Evan Mobley as the odds-on favorite, -300. Scotty Barnes behind him at +550, along with Cade Cunningham, Franz Wagner +1,500, and Josh Giddey at +2,000. The 2022 Pebble Beach Pro-Am underway tomorrow. Patrick Cantlay, the favorite, at +700. Daniel Berger +1,200, Will Zalatoris at +1,600, Jason Day and Jordan Spieth each at +2,000.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now. and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thom Abraham here from my friend Ross Roberts and his team at Valley Equipment Rental on the South Memorial Parkway. Did you know that Valley Equipment Rental is independently owned and operated by local folks right here in the Valley? They are celebrating 10 years in the business this year and have grown to be North Alabama's largest supplier of rental skid steers and mini excavators. Now, if you have a question about what tool to use, just call them at 964-6081, and the pros at Valley Equipment will get you into the tool that you need for your specific project. Valley Equipment, more care in every rental.
I love overpriced stuff. Avocados, designer t-shirts, artisanal water. That's why I get my internet from the other guys. Paying more for the same stuff. What could be better?
Wow is better. For just $19.99 a month, we give you the super fast, extra reliable internet you need. Act now before this deal is gone. Internet 100 for just $19.99 a month. Plus, learn how to get up to $300 on us. Sign up at Huawei.com. Wow. Limited to new customers with auto pay and paperless billing. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is your big game headquarters all fall long. And with our new fall features, every day is game day at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Try our pregame starters, including our homemade onion strings, always fresh hot lips, and our all-new Buffalo Dippin' Chicken appetizer. Our main events include incredible chicken, fish, and shrimp selections, always featuring local Alabama Gulf seafood. And don't forget our Sunday Blitz, 11 to 6. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Two Maids and a Mop. That's all you need to know to clean house. Two Maids and a Mop is an award-winning company, bonded and insured. Hire them for yourself, or they have gift cards if you want to make someone else's day. Find out more online at twomaidshuntsville.com. A maid service worth talking about. Two Maids and a Mop take care of everything. They supply all the cleaning equipment needed. Call 256-883-6243. The only finger you'll need to lift is the one to call them.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Unfortunately, we're talking about rain through a good majority of the afternoon. The good news here is that temperatures are actually going to be somewhat warm, highs hanging out in the low and mid-50s, so we're not talking about a disgustingly cold rain. Rain is going to continue as we head into the overnight and then through a good majority of your Thursday as well. Temperatures on Thursday climbing into the mid and upper 50s. Some of us could actually see the lower 60s, but again, we're talking about a healthy opportunity for widespread rain through a good majority of Thursday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Bring that playoff intensity every day to our shows.
Bring it on, Chop. Let's go.
Okay, maybe just for Drew DeArmond.
Me.
Listen for Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew. Weekday mornings starting at 7 on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We're talking baseball. Klazuski, Campanella talking baseball. The man and Bobby Fella, the Scooter, the Barber and the Nuke. They knew them all from Boston to Dubuque, especially Willie, Mickey, and the Duke.
You hear that music and you know what time it is. It is Carey's Corner with Josh Carey, voice of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. A lot of great stuff. Ready for another season this year. Got a job fair coming up, I believe February 19th. I'm sure he'll talk more about that as well, but there's a few headlines and a few things around the minor leagues that I wanted to ask him about today as we were going to bring him on. And, of course, this is presented by the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And, Josh, thank you so much for joining Michael and I. Thank you so much for joining the show. And sorry Thom couldn't be here, but we wanted to take over and kind of give him the week off.
Well, you know, I've been actually listening to you guys all week, and y'all done a fine job filling in for the master. So kudos to both of you, and glad to be on with you guys.
Greatly appreciated as always. And we kind of talked about it yesterday, and we kind of wanted to ask you the same question, kind of just to start it off, because baseball guy, and we kind of had a debate on who you could put, you know, in a Mount Rushmore of, I guess we would say, individual players in team sports. So like, you know, Tom Brady, Wayne Gretzky, MJ. Who is your baseball? Who would you pick over everyone else in the sport of baseball?
Wow.
Could you do that? Can you do that?
Yeah. Well, it's so hard because you got to go across so many different eras. I would have to say, I'm going to still say Babe Ruth, only because Babe, you got to remember when he came into baseball was struggling. And so he, saved the game because they were reeling badly from the Black Sox scandal of 1919. And he made baseball a popular thing. I mean, the 20s, 30s, the retires, the 40s, the 50s, into the 60s, baseball was America's pastime because of Ruth making the game as popular as it was. So I don't know if he's necessarily the greatest ball player, but I think he's the most important. But now if you're going to ask me who is probably the best player, pound for pound, I'd say Henry Aaron. With Barry Bonds right on his heels. There's too much controversy around Barry, so I'd say Ruth 1 and then Aaron 2.
Yeah, I think we can all totally agree with you, and I think Bo Estes as well, Atlanta native, but not very biased and all, but saying that if Hank Aaron played in obviously a bigger market, then he'd be larger than life, and we'd be talking to him about him every single day. I know I do as a Braves fan when it comes to baseball. But I wanted to ask you, start of Black History Month, and I saw a great thing. I wanted to break down the top players that have come around this area, but I also wanted to ask you a little bit about, do you know any more about the Nine organization and what all that is about?
Yeah, well, the 9 is in reference to the number Jackie Robinson wore when he was playing minor league baseball in Montreal. That was his number. It wasn't 45 or 42, I beg your pardon. So it was actually the number 9. And so that's what it's in reference to. This is a minor league baseball initiative. And so what it's going to do is it's going to be the next outreach by MLB trying to get baseball into the inner cities and specifically getting African-American youth into the game of baseball, which has been a struggle. It's been a struggle for several decades now, trying to get that segment of the population into the game of baseball. So that's going to be another push once again, trying to get, African-American employees into minor league baseball organizations, major league baseball organizations. I know we here at the Trash Pandas, we really utilize Alabama A&M, trying to get a lot of their students over here for internships or part-time work or hourly work, things like that. But just those types of initiatives trying to get the African-American population into baseball again. That's something that's very important, and it's something that they're going to make another push for here in 2022.
That's really awesome. That's something that definitely I think that should be something big in baseball. I mean, I know as a kid, baseball was like the sport that got me through a lot of things, that got me out of a lot of things as well, kept me out of the bad things of the world. Like, it was something that really I learned from the coaches that I had. I mean, I couldn't take away from what I learned from baseball, and it's just good to see something like this to try to develop, the game bigger than itself.
Yeah, and I think baseball is slowly getting there. It was funny during the pandemic when there was no baseball going on. I would go to YouTube and I would watch a lot of old baseball games from like the early 90s.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, go back and watch the 1992 All-Star game. And you look at the number of African-American ball players that were on each roster, and then you compare it to, say, the 2019 All-Star game, it's like night and day. But I have to say, last year, while covering the Trash Pandas, I started to see a few more African-American players playing ball again. And I think a lot of that has to do with not as many kids are playing football now, just because of the risk of head injuries and things like that, concussions. And so I think baseball is getting a little bit of a boost from that, but I think they understand, and I think we all understand more needs to be done in that arena. So, we'll just see if this works. It's been a struggle. It's really been a struggle for the game. And it's not just about, getting more people of color into the game, but it's also just getting younger people into the game, because let's face it, baseball is a different animal, and it's not always something that everyone can enjoy because the game does drag a little bit. So there are other issues at play.
Josh Carey, the voice of the Rocket City Trash Pandas, on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline with us. Josh, speaking of expanding the game, the cover for the show 22, as I am a gamer, Chad is a gamer, but one of the things that helps me with Major League Baseball is a little bit of video game action. Shohei Ohtani is now our cover athlete for MLB The Show 2022. And Ohtani, I'm one of those guys, I gravitate more to players than I do to teams. And it's like him and Vlad Jr., actually the whole Blue Jays. Like I like to call that the team of legacy, because you got your Bo Bichette, you got Vlad Jr., you got the young Biggio up there too as well. But the market for Shohei Ohtani, as I went sidebar on that one, the LA Angels, who hasn't seen, like we've seen Mike Trout get completely wasted on there, are we going to probably, like, what is going on with the Angels management on this one that you think? Because as we are the Angels affiliate here in the Rocket City, it seems like Ohtani is that opportunity to have that one superstar that could transcend all sports. But the Angels have proven that they haven't been able to do it with Mike Trout. So what are your thoughts on Ohtani and his future coming up with the LA Angels?
Yeah, we're going to learn a lot more in the next 2 to 4 years. In fairness to the Angels, first off, they have, I think for what it's worth, they have the two top players in the game, Trout and Ohtani. And yet, you're right, they haven't done a whole lot. And it goes to show you that you got to do more. Their farm system has struggled. They've made some less than stellar moves in free agency. Albert Pujols is a great example. But, you know, they had as much stability at the managerial level as any when they had Mike Scioscia there for a long, long time. And I think when you win a world title, as they did in 2002, it's easy to get hung up on doing things one certain way and not really expanding past that. Mike Scioscia is a tremendous manager, don't get me wrong. But if you notice, ever since he's left the Angels, he hasn't really landed anywhere else. And I think Mike was one of those old school guys who got kind of stuck in his ways, and he never really I think the Angels kind of held themselves back from that. And then after letting him go, they've been trying to find their way and adapt to this new wave of baseball with analytics and statistics and all this other stuff. And it's taken them a little bit of time to catch up. So now with Ohtani, I think they've made strides. I really do. I think they have the right man in there. I think Joe Madden is brilliant. And I think they're starting to make some really wise moves at the major league level. I think Noah Syndergaard is going to be a nice pickup. And they're really not that far in the AL West, which is not the Astros are good, but they're not the dominating team they once were. I think the A's are going to take a step back. So they're getting there. So they're really not that far behind. And we're going to really find something out here probably in the next 2, maybe 3 seasons as to whether some of these changes they've made are going to bear good fruit or not. They've really made a new commitment to pitching. They drafted nothing but pitchers in the last draft, and that's something they really didn't have a whole lot of in their past. So they've made moves. I think we just got to be a little more patient now with Perry Minasian in there and see what happens.
Well, one like you discussed a pitcher right there. I mean, we could look at the Rocket City Trash Pandas' very first starting pitcher that happened on opening day of last year, and the trend, like the upward trend that he went to, going all the way to the Angels and Reed Detmers, and now it looks like he's going to probably be in the rotation for the Angels. What do you feel like with Reed Detmers, and how good could this kid actually be in the professional level?
Well, he can be outstanding. I liked what they did. At first, I didn't agree with it because it hurt the Trash Pandas, but I get it. He was one of 10 pitchers that was called up to the major leagues last season. And I now see what the Angels were trying to do. They were trying to see what they had when it came to the arms in their farm system and what moves they needed to make. If you've noticed, the Angels have always had hitters. They've had guys who can rake, but they've never really had the arms. And so now when you have a guy like a Reed Detmers, he has the potential to be an all-star, a multi-time all-star. You can't really say if a guy is going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't think that's really fair just yet. But he has the potential to be outstanding because he has a great fastball, a fantastic curveball, 12-6 breaker, and he mixes it in with a changeup that still needs a little bit of work. He's a 3-pitch pitcher, and he's still working on a fourth, a slider. And if he can do that, being left-handed, you put all that together, that's a pretty tough combination to beat. He's got to work on getting his pitches lower. The jury is still going to be out on him, though. He's only pitched 2 months worth of Major League Baseball, and he was only drafted a couple of years ago. But he does have the potential to go to the All-Star game more than one time, and he can be the part of a foundation that's going to need a lot more pieces if the Angels hope to do a lot more in the pennant race and the World Series.
So what are your thoughts on the latest negotiations around Major League Baseball as potentially that we could have even more of a delay in spring training?
Yeah, disappointing, but does it surprise you?
No, not by any means.
No. I mean, you think back to during the pandemic when they were trying to figure out the abbreviated schedule. Even though that wasn't a lockout, it felt like one.
Yeah.
And it was just back and forth, and let's do this. No, let's do that. It turned out to be a negotiation, and it was just so off-putting to everyone because of what was happening across the rest of the country. It's just baseball doing baseball things. And so is it surprising? No. Is it disappointing? Yes. But ultimately, I think everyone knows what's at play here. Everyone lost too much money due to the pandemic, both owners and players.
Right.
Neither side can really afford to lose any regular season games. Can you give up a little spring training? Yeah, you can. All right, these guys are in shape year round. They really don't need that much spring training. They'll be okay. But you can't let this go on too long because it's just gonna irritate the fans even more, and that's the last thing that baseball needs.
Josh Carey, voice of the Rocket City Trash Pandas on the Naples Wealth Management Hotline with us. And Josh, what are the happenings coming up on Toyota Field that people can go with? Because we got some high school showcases. We've got some SEC baseball that's coming into town. But actually, I'm off that for a second. SEC season's about to come up as we got college baseball coming up here in the next month and a half right now. And last year, I mean, you had a team that didn't even make the weekend in conference or in the conference tournament in Mississippi State, winning the national championship at the College World Series. You had Tennessee go to the College World Series. Vanderbilt was also in there. Arkansas was the number one team in the country for a good bit of time. And it just seems like Bama is rising, Auburn's rising. The SEC is almost starting to become the premier conference in college baseball, which, I mean, it's almost like if you're the SEC and you put your mind to it, you're going to become the best at whatever sport they decide to go to, gymnastics, hockey, like whatever. But what are your thoughts about this upcoming SEC season for baseball?
Yeah, I haven't kept up with it as much as I usually do, but the thing about it is you don't have to be great in SEC play. You just have to hold your own, right? So if you play, I think they play a 30-game conference schedule. You win 15, you're in. I mean, you don't even have to do anything in the conference tournament. You'll get into the NCAAs, and from there, who knows what will happen because you're going to be so well prepped. What's so great, and what I remember, I'm 40. So when I was growing up in Atlanta, in the early 90s, college baseball was starting to become a bit of a thing, but it was still, at some places, it was barely a varsity sport. And you go back into the 80s, it was barely, it may not have been a varsity sport at a lot of these schools, but it has really formulated into a true breeding ground for future major leaguers. College baseball used to be a place where careers went to die. I mean, you basically went there if you weren't good enough to be drafted. And now it's become a place where you're going to see quality talent and guys have a shot. Don't forget, Florida is moving into probably the best facility in the country. LSU is LSU every year. Georgia's always got a good program. I mean, SEC baseball is just as good from a competitive standpoint, a competition standpoint, as SEC football. And I think at the end of the day, you're going to see your typical teams up there, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. I got to think LSU is going to have a resurgence. Florida will be in there at some point. But at the end of baseball is such a funny game anyway. You're not going to really have a good gauge on things until you hit the month of May. But you can guarantee at least 8 to 10 teams getting in there.
One final thing before we get out, and this is one that just bugs me because I know that you guys talked the Hall of Fame talk with David Ortiz coming in last week, but one thing that really took me away from baseball, I was big into it until about 03, 04. Then one Mitchell report decided to come out, and then it seemed like the baseball writers became almost sanctimonious about how they felt with all these players that were going on and just completely degrading everything that was going on with certain particular players. And two, that Bonds and Clemens, I mean, most MVPs, most Cy Youngs, they're going to get voted in by this Veterans Committee whenever their first ballot is going to be up for when the Veterans Committee can do. I mean, that's pretty much a lock, a lot of people are saying. But for the writers to not let the leader in Cy Youngs and the leader in MVPs and home runs not go into the Hall of Fame, how much of a bad taste in the mouth do you believe that the public would have, or not will have, but has, with the baseball writers on the voting of the Hall of Fame process?
With the writers, I don't think your typical fan cares. I mean, really, I personally don't worry about writers. I worry about the play on the field. And frankly, if I'm a player, in a lot of ways, I almost prefer to be voted in by this Veterans Committee, because let me tell you what the Veterans Committee is made of, and I hope I get the numbers right. I think it's 12 former players, 4 former coaches or executives, not coaches, but managers and executives, and then 4 other writers. So it's a panel of about 20 people, the vast majority who were on the field or impacted the play on the field, and then 4 writers who know their stuff. I would rather get voted in by that than a bunch of these, sanctimonious writers, as you call them, who probably didn't even make their high school team. And so that's number one. And number two, for your typical fan, so be it. I mean, if the guys get in, the guys get in. And I think you just take it all with a grain of salt. You understand what happened. And the fact that they are going to get to Cooperstown, they're going to get up there and they're going to get to make a speech and they're going to get their plaque and everything. It's going to cancel it all out. And in about 10 years, I think for a lot of the younger generation, it won't matter. And when you look at the writers, a lot of the younger writers, they want those guys in there. It's the old school guys who just won't let the grudge go. And I think a lot of it has to do with personal relationships and what they went through trying to cover Bonds and Clemens and people like that. That's really what it's about. It's about personal grudges, and it's a popularity contest. And that's what bothers those guys. But for your typical fan, it's water under the bridge.
So I'm really excited for a lot of stuff going on. I'm a baseball guy, excited for a lot of the stuff that's going on in March. Is there anything else going on these next couple of weeks that's going around Toyota Field?
Yeah, well, you mentioned the job fair. That's coming up on February the 19th. We're always looking for people who can work home stands, who can run the concession stand, who can help run our camera equipment for the video board and for our TV broadcasts and things like that. Parking attendants, security guards, things like that. So we have all that available. We have Auburn coming in on March the 8th. They'll be playing Tennessee Tech. We still have tickets available for that ball game. And then, like you mentioned, we'll have a ton of high school games. I think every weekend in March leading into the season, which gets underway on April the 12th against Pensacola.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Thank you so much as always. Can't wait for the season to start for real. Just can't wait for MLB and the minor leagues to start because it's definitely the baseball is number one in my heart. So it's always great to talk baseball with you. Thank you for coming on. And yeah, man, hope to talk to you soon. Hope to talk to you next. Well, yeah, we'll talk to you next week when Thom gets back.
Yeah, and just just a couple more things, guys. If anyone wants to book some groups, a suite, a picnic
definitely.
area, things like that, give us a call at 256-325-1403. We'll point you in the right direction. And as a reminder, this lockout that we've been talking about, that only impacts the major league players. The minors, we're going to be getting underway. That's all about the MLB Players Union. The MILB guys, they're going to be playing April, whether there's Major League Baseball or not. So don't worry, fans. We're getting underway.
We're going to have a good time down here in the South for sure. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it as always.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, that was Josh Carey, voice of the Trash Pandas. I mean, it's always a great time to talk to him. Like, seriously, like any time that we can talk baseball. I know we got a lot of stuff other going on, but man, it just I'm already itching. You know what I mean?
Well, you're a big seam head, and
I really am. Like I'm probably it's pretty much like Joe Hunk and I are like when it comes to baseball, like that's our sport for sure.
Well, I didn't really get back into baseball until because I'm an Xbox guy.
Yeah,
I'm not a PS5 guy,
well,
so I didn't have the show.
I didn't have it either, but I used to play MVP baseball because that was the EA game, so that was always on Xbox or GameCube or whatever. So I had that game. And I always played like Slugfest and all that all those other different types of games. But I knew baseball. You know what I mean?
Is that it's 162 games, and I'm just like I don't want to. And like Josh was,
I'm weird. I can watch it.
The game goes slow, so it's like if I can like.
No, yeah, I completely get it.
And also, I like gaming is kind of a release to calm down and just relax after a long hard day, and it's just like. I can get a couple baseball games in and maybe be done 10 minutes, and I'm like, all right, yeah, that's fine.
Well, yeah, it's like with me. Like I do this. Trust me, I do this the same way. I can watch baseball. I got a buddy that watches basketball, and it's just like, how can you watch basketball? But then at the end of the day, it's like, how can I watch baseball? You know what I mean? Like it's a long season. I get it. We usually till after the All-Star break. That's really when you want to care. You know what I mean? College basketball, we don't care until the conference tournaments, March Madness, stuff like that. But anyway, we got to go to a break. We got to pay some bills. It was great to talk to Josh Carey, voice of the Trash Pandas. This is Chad Gwathney and Michael Rose right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Take your taste buds back in time with a trip to the all-new Bubby's Diner, offering a variety of mouth-watering food, from delicious starters to 50-style diner food and meat-and-three meals, featuring owner and Huntsville native Chris Bubby Belcher's family's homemade recipes. Open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at 8412 Whitesburg Drive in the former Gibson's Barbecue. And you can enjoy $50 worth of delicious Bubby's Diner food for half price with this week's Zone Deal. On sale now online at 977ESPN.com.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com. When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Thom Abraham here for my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Unfortunately, we're talking about rain through a good majority of the afternoon. The good news here is that temperatures are actually going to be somewhat warm, highs hanging out in the low and mid-50s, so we're not talking about a disgustingly cold rain. Rain is going to continue as we head into the overnight and then through a good majority of your Thursday as well. Temperatures on Thursday climbing into the mid and upper 50s. Some of us could actually see the lower 60s, but again, we're talking about a healthy opportunity for widespread rain through a good majority of Thursday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And welcome back into the Thom Abraham Show, the Smokey and Chad.
Welcome into Bassmaster Radio. That's what I feel like every time I hear this song. Every time I hear this song, I love that open.
I got this for him. I actually
song?
use this as an intro.
Welcome to Bassmaster Radio. That's
I
what
seriously
every
use
time.
it as an hourly intro when, the producer actually produced hourly intros in this one. But 256-576-4977 is the phone number to get in. Dan in Madison has done that. Dan, good morning, sir. How's it going?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Man, I can't complain. You?
I'm fine. I want to apologize to you, by the way. We used to rag on you about being a Tennessee fan, dumpster fires, and now my Auburn team is dumpster fire.
Oh, you're talking football-wise?
Yeah, football.
Yeah, because you can't talk basketball-wise. That basketball team is not dumpster fire, but quite the opposite. They're on fire.
And by the way, as a wrestling fan, what is a Danhausen?
Danhausen, man. Oh, my God. I love Danhausen.
I love them, too.
But, no, Danhausen, I actually got to I first noticed him with it was Warhorse, and they were doing a show up in Indy, an independent wrestling show, and there was a Twitter video that came out that Warhorse was trying to convince people on the street to come and park and watch wrestling, and Danhausen was right across the street just doing some, stupid stuff. And then all of a sudden you hear, love that Danhausen. Love him. And then all of a sudden,
gimmick.
And then, it was straight gimmick right there in the street. And ever since that time in 2018, it's just been like his rise has been going, and he's been doing indie promotion after indie promotion, including New South right there in Hartselle, Alabama. And now with him getting signed to AEW, it was just like the man, dude has been on a Conan O'Brien podcast. Conan O'Brien got him for a podcast. He has done so much outside of wrestling, but he's so eclectic that it's actually one of the most entertaining things for me. And I'm completely entertained by Danhausen.
Well, me too. So I'm not a nerd, right?
Well, hey, we're all nerds in one way or another.
A&W root beer.
A&W. Dan, appreciate the call, sir, but we got to hit a break. All right, sir? 256-576-4977 is the number to get in. Always. That you get the click?
I always get the click when I think I know when I'm supposed to hang up on them because I try to give them the benefit of the doubt, but it's people are always different.
Anyway, coming up next segment, we got Nate the King from Auburn 24/7. We're going to be discussing the Plains, the coordinator situation with Brian Harsin, as well as the victory for the #1 Auburn Tigers in Auburn Arena last night. You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
Here in the South, we like our traditions, like Alabama football and tailgating on fall Saturdays. And the best way to start your tailgate? Visit Brooks & Collier to see North Alabama's largest selection of premium grills and smokers. Big Green Egg, Blaze, and Traeger. Everything you need for that perfect tailgate. Check out our rubs and seasonings. We have a full wall to please any taste palate. Visit Brooks & Collier at 813 Meridian Street or at brooksandcollier.com. An Alabama tradition for 75 years. Roll Tide.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Get your Ford your way today. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and we've got F-150s in stock right now. We have F-150s on the ground so you can climb behind the wheel and take a test drive today. Plus at Woody Anderson Ford, our 2021 F-150s come with $1,000 in bonus cash, along with financing as low as 0% for up to 60 months with your good credit. This offer ends February 28th. To be clear, these F-150s are in stock today, ready for your garage tonight. Now let's talk about making a custom factory order. Not only is there no extra cost to custom order, but you'll get $1,000 off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates on 2022 F-150, Explorer, Ranger, Expedition, and Mustang. Go to WoodyAndersonFord.com and you'll see how easy it is. And speaking of easy, our service department is now offering free pickup and delivery when it's time for your next Ford service. Ask about it at Woody Anderson Ford, the corner of Jordan and Sparkman. Look forward to seeing you.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Thank you for making us your number one choice for sports talk in North Alabama.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Heads up, sports bettors. Right now you can try VSiN All Access free for 30 days with no credit card required. Visit vsin.com/free month to sign up now.
The latest odds for NBA Rookie of the Year have Evan Mobley as the odds-on favorite, -300. Scotty Barnes behind him at +550, along with Cade Cunningham, Franz Wagner +1,500, and Josh Giddey at +2,000. The 2022 Pebble Beach Pro-Am underway tomorrow. Patrick Cantlay, the favorite, at +700. Daniel Berger +1,200. Will Zalatoris at +1,600. Jason Day and Jordan Spieth each at +2,000. UFC Fight Night, Jack Hermanson will face Sean Strickland in a battle of top 10 middleweights Saturday, February 5th. In Las Vegas. Strickland, the lower-ranked fighter. He's the favorite, -210. Hermanson at +180.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. You guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you. I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live. Here he is, the big dog, Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like Elle McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond? Get off my lawn. Got the drag.
And welcome into hour number 2 of the Thom Abraham Show. Just that the namesake of the show isn't here. Thom is out down in Southwest Florida for a Bassmaster tournament, so you get Smokey Mike, you get the Chad, you get the takeover of Smokey and the Chad coming on the Thom Abraham Show. 256-576-4977 is the phone number to get in. On Twitter, I'm at Rose Scholar. He's at Gwathney Chad. The station's at 977 ESPN. Auburn. It's been a heck of a week down in Auburn. I mean, you get turmoil with football, and then you get Bruce Pearl crane kicking like anything last night. And to help us with anything that's going on in the Plains right now, we head on over to Auburn 24/7, and that is where we have on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline one Mr. Nathan King. Nathan, good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, good morning. How are you guys doing? I'm good.
I can't complain
doing
too
great,
much.
man.
But let's start off with last night, 100-81. Auburn gets that 100-burger on Bama. Auburn Arena the jungle was absolutely electric. Wendell Green brought the fire with the season high 23 points, and then Bruce Pearl decides to crane kick his way out of Auburn Arena last night. Is this Auburn team this is a Final Four team, obviously, but can this team actually be cutting down the nets in April, Nathan?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's been confirmed over the last couple of games. The fact that somebody talked about it on our board this morning, this team is getting better right now. I mean, they've improved over the last couple of games, which is a scary sight when you're the number one team in the country. Obviously, the focus for right now, winning an SEC regular season championship is a huge, huge accomplishment. It takes an awesome season to do it. Obviously, Alabama, I think they went 16-2 last year in the SEC. You've got to have something like that, or you've got to beat Kentucky in order to win the SEC regular season title. So Auburn is pushing toward that. That is their number one goal right now. Everything that happens in the NCAA tournament will come after that, and things are going to get pretty difficult. They've got 4 road games left. Auburn does, against pretty good teams: Tennessee, Mississippi State, Arkansas, and Florida. I'm looking at that. If you emerge even 2-2 from that, that's pretty impressive. But yeah, on the whole, Auburn is definitely improving. The thing about this team is just the depth. That's what we've talked about all year long. You really have to account for everybody. And even last week against Missouri, their worst game of the season, pretty much every single player was off, but Katie Johnson wasn't off, and he made a couple shots at the end to win the game. So, I mean, if you don't account for every single player on the team, you're going to lose. And then in a game last night where really everybody's having a good game, you really don't stand much of a chance when they're clicking like that on offense. And so, yeah, everything came together for them last night. We saw what we've come to expect from Alabama, which is capable of making some furious runs. I mean, they brought it within one possession in the blink of an eye there in the second half. Those two guards, Quinterly and Shackelford, they combined for 46. They're really, really talented, but just down the stretch, Auburn's got too much depth, and they're playing with too much chemistry right now, and they'll just kind of break you down over the final 10, 15 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it does speak volumes for Auburn that they do have depth. I saw in your article where you wrote Jabari Smith had 17 points, but where Auburn went up in that second half 25-12, and they had a 18-point lead on Alabama, and you got Jabari Smith coming off the bench, you know what I mean? Was on the bench during that time frame. What does that say about the depth, but also just you have this type of weapon in which we keep comparing to the Kevin Durant's of the world that literally you could probably sit, you know what I mean, these last few games or whatever in the regular season and keep him rested and then just be ready to go throughout the rest of the tournament, throughout the SEC tournament, and then the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, that's the thing is that there's so many successful lineups. I will say Jabari Smith's backup, Jalen Williams, he might have been the team's best overall player last year. He's the guy who could start probably in half the SEC, just a freak athlete. If he ever puts his shot together, he'll probably be like a second-round pick. You look at his offensive ratings coming off the bench the past 3 or 4 games, they've been through the roof, 100-plus in each of the last 4 games. And so that's something where he's a guy that only scores. He had 4 points last night. He only scores like 5 points a game, but he just comes off and makes a really big impact in limited minutes. But yeah, I mean, that big run was courtesy of Wendell Green and Walker Kessler. Look, you look at KenPom, and Walker Kessler has been the MVP, I think, all but 2 games for Auburn, the past 15 games or something like that. And then Wendell Green is obviously capable of doing it as well. Katie Johnson, I thought, was their most important player against Missouri. Jabari Smith he doesn't have a quiet presence on the floor, but he doesn't. He's just not as loud, and pompous in terms of some other high draft picks who just need to take over the game. Auburn doesn't ask him to do that much, like you referenced. He just kind of comes in, does his thing, plays great interior defense, and makes, like you said, Kevin Durant type shots sometimes. And we've seen over the past couple games that he doesn't need to go superhuman. He did in Tuscaloosa for the first win of Auburn in this series, or earlier in January. He had a season high 25 points in that game, but I mean, he just kind of does his thing. He'll drop 15, 16, 17 points a game, be an efficient shooter, be a great defender, and just kind of, like we talked about, he'll just round out this rotation. And so this team's learning to play well off of each other. I mean, if they play like they did last night, their defense needed a little work in the second half. It was really good in the first half. But if they play like that offensively, no one will beat this team. This team is unbeatable when Wendell Green, Walker Kessler, and Jabari Smith are playing like that. It's just not possible, I don't think, unless you're, a Gonzaga or a Baylor or a Houston or something like that.
Well, yeah, and I saw where Alabama shooting the three-wise. I mean, it was fine on their end. When it comes to no big man presence for them and the likes of Walker Kessler, I mean, this man, I mean, he did nothing in the last game to come out and almost get a triple-double with 8 blocks and just play lights out and just control. It must be really good to see, though, that Auburn was able to get to the line 39 times and be able to generate so many points off that as well.
Yeah, I've been telling anybody that will listen that Walker Kessler is the second most impactful player in the SEC this season, behind Oscar Tshiebwe. He probably won't get looked at as a player of the year type. I think if Tshiebwe keeps playing like he is, he's probably player of the year. If Jabari Smith ups his scoring a bit, he'll probably be pretty close in that race. But there's been nobody more impactful in high major college basketball for their team than Walker Kessler in the month of January and now in this game. I mean, you talked about it. It's a ho-hum 14 points, 12 boards, and 8 blocks. I mean, that's just an absurd amount of production for a guy that, like you talked about, in that first game, 2 points and he fouls out. And so he was talking about it in the post game just late last night, saying, I was looking forward to this one. This was something where, he knew what happened last time and he was disappointed by it. I mean, J.D. Davison put down a dunk on him last time that would have gone down in history if Alabama had won that game. So he really didn't have a good night. Obviously, did a good job of turning it around here. And then, I think Auburn figured out pretty early on. Look, both teams started 1 for 6 from the field. I believe Auburn started 1 for 9 overall. And they just started realizing that their best form of offense was going to be aggressive. They didn't get as many whiffles in the second half. But this is a team that's really athletic. It's easily the most athletic and lengthy team Bruce Pearl's ever had. When you've got draft picks like Jabari Smith, Walker Kessler, Alan Flanagan, maybe a guy like Katie Johnson, that are all aggressive players, you've got an opportunity to get to the foul line. And so when they shoot 39 free throws, again, it's going to be a difficult team to beat. They need to up the percentage just a little bit on the season. Last night was 80%. That's good. They're a little bit below that on the year. But, I mean, they did exactly what you're supposed to do. At home, you're trying to draw the whistles, and they were plenty aggressive, and it paid off for them.
Nathan King from Auburn 24/7 is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline with us. And Nathan, this team hasn't lost since before Thanksgiving. I mean, it's been an unbelievable run, but just thinking about it and looking at the way the schedule is panning out, like you mentioned, 4 road games coming up, who out of Auburn's remaining schedule do you think has the best chance of knocking off the number 1 Auburn Tigers?
I'm picking 2 losses from here on out. I think it's a pretty good chance there could be 3 or 4. I mean, the SEC is not easy. They've got to go to Georgia on Saturday. That seems like a win, right? There'll be a ton of Auburn fans, by the way. That game is sold out, and it has not sold out because of the craze for Georgia basketball. It has sold out because there will be more Auburn fans there. So they've got a great opportunity to move to 10-0 in conference play, but really not easy from here on out. I think there's a couple losses. I'm going to go ahead and pick Arkansas and Mississippi State. Mississippi State might be the 3rd best team in the SEC behind Auburn and Kentucky. They are really, really impressive. We're talking about Player of the Year candidates. Iverson Molinar has been fantastic for them. They're another team that's really, really deep. They run 9-10 guys. Garrison Brooks is that'll be a fun matchup with him and Walker Kessler. That's a difficult one at the hump at the end of the year. That's Auburn's last road game. And then I think their first loss will come next Tuesday, a week from yesterday, at Arkansas. Arkansas's been playing a lot better. Now, again, they could go in there and win. I'm not saying, Auburn's automatically going to lose that game. You just try to look at probabilities here and see what the most obvious ones are. I think they should run the table at home. They have surpassed their most difficult home games. They beat LSU, Kentucky, and Alabama at home. From here on out, they really don't have anybody super threatening. I believe it's Ole Miss, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Texas A&M. You should win those games at home. So it's really those 4 road games we referenced, those 2 that I think they have a good chance of losing, and then Florida and Tennessee. Really, if you look at the way things are right now, they just got to keep Kentucky at an arm's length. I think Kentucky's got 2 losses in the league right now. If you're Auburn, you're hoping that they'll drop another one here. You're honestly rooting for Alabama. That sounds weird. Alabama beating Kentucky at home in Tuscaloosa on Saturday is huge. That would be really, really good for Auburn. But I just think Auburn's got on a collision course right now with an SEC regular season crown. We'll see what happens in the SEC tournament. That won't be as important. Auburn will have knocked up a 1 seed regardless. But yeah, I'm going to go and I'll call my shot and say they'll go 16-2 in the league. And I think the most probable losses are in Fayetteville and in Starkville.
And, of course, in Alabama fashion, they probably will win that game on Saturday, beating 5 ranked opponents, and then end up going in how they do each week playing against opponents. But I wanted your reaction and what you feel the whole season playing at home and what you said about Walker Kessler, kind of comparing the rivalries of the Duke and North Carolinas of the world to the Alabama and Auburns of the basketball court. Is that home feel really like? Does it really make a difference? Because I saw the way that the Auburn fan base traveled at the game in Tuscaloosa, and I felt like it was, other than the student section, it was 60-40 Bama, but there was you could really hear the Auburn section traveling that day.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing right now, I think Auburn fans have kind of, they've come to understand and appreciate good basketball. It's something they're not used to. They were an SEC doormat for years. And so now I think they're, kind of learning how to appreciate a team and a good run for a season. I think they've got a good perspective of this season. They're kind of taking it game by game and saying, look, you don't have the number 1 team in the country often. You don't have the number 1 player in the NBA draft very often. You don't have multiple SEC Player of the Year candidates. They're just kind of enjoying the ride, and then knowing losses will come, but just enjoying games as they go along. The Auburn Arena is definitely a top 5 environment in college basketball right now. What stuck out to me is all the new players. Obviously this is a very new Auburn roster this year. Almost half the roster is new additions, either transfers or a freshman like Jabari Smith. They are just continually pointing out how amazed they are by this crowd. A bunch of them are only second-year guys, so like Walker Kessler said, they didn't have much of a crowd last season because COVID limited things. In terms of a guy like Kessler didn't have much of a crowd in that Duke North Carolina game. It makes a huge difference. I mean, look, I unfortunately tested positive for COVID, so I wasn't at the game last night, but everybody at the game said it was the loudest they had ever heard that arena.
Yeah,
and I said that 2 weeks ago.
I could hear some of the chants on TV, and I don't know how they didn't bleep a lot of that out.
Yeah, that they certainly know how to. They're getting smarter in terms of knowing how to help out their team in a home game, and that's why I think winning these games at home is so important. Kind of holding serve when you've got such a big home court advantage, but people have kind of mentioned, Arkansas's got a good one too. They got to go to a place like Florida, a place like Tennessee. So this team will continue to be tested. But, yeah, they're definitely very comfortable when they come back home. Haven't lost at home at all this season. And even over the past few years, even with last year when they finished 11th in the league, their home record is still something like 73 and 82 over the past 5 years or something like that. So they definitely get a huge boost from that crowd.
All right, Nathan, we got to get away from the basketball a little bit because it is National Signing Day Part 2, which feels insanely weird because this was holidays, celebrate, people were taking days off for this particular day, not even 3-4 years ago. Auburn is in the bottom half of the SEC, but they're still sitting at 17 overall in the 24/7 composite rankings, which means it's not a bad class, but coordinator-wise, there's nobody with Brian Harsin, as Austin Davis decided to step away from the offensive coordinator position, and now Auburn is looking for both offensive and defensive coordinators. What are you hearing around the tea leaves that are maybe where Harsin might be going with an OC and a DC?
Yeah, so he's promoted the linebackers coach, Jeff Schmedding, to defensive coordinator. He was a guy who held that position for 2 years at Boise State. He was already the associate head coach. If you'll remember, when Harsin got COVID last season, see how he uses his personnel in a different way than Derek Mason, because I think this roster really was tailor-made for a guy like Mason. That 3-4 worked really, really well last season, save for 1 or 2 games. And then on the offensive side, I think it's going to start and end with Eric Keesaw. That's really where everything is pointing. I would be surprised if Keesaw was not the next offensive coordinator. He's the receivers coach right now. He was the offensive coordinator for 2 years with Brian Harsin at Boise State. So now you're kind of just getting a rehashing of both of his Boise coordinators that he's comfortable with. And the only reason that it seems this obvious is because they were already sort of just setting up a brain trust. It was going to be kind of a 3-way offense with Harsin calling the plays and sort of orchestrating things as the number one. And then Austin Davis and Eric Keesaw were going to work together to formulate what was left of the offense. And so it just seems to make a lot of sense that Harsin and Keesaw were already planning on working together on this offense. It just makes sense to go ahead and promote him. And then you look at, what happens. Maybe he's the quarterback coach. Maybe he's still the receivers coach. Whatever happens with that other assistant hole that's made by promoting him as currently the receivers coach, you've got a couple analysts on the staff. Mike Hartline, the former Kentucky quarterback, they added him just a couple of weeks ago. He could be your receivers coach. And then Bodie Reeder, if you need a quarterbacks coach, he helped out with the quarterbacks after they got rid of Mike Bobo. He's a former offensive coordinator at Utah State, and North Texas was pretty successful at both of those places. So, yeah, it's definitely not an ideal situation for Brian Harsin to lose both of his coordinators. I think the Derek Mason one, though, although the circumstances of the Austin Davis are a little bit more abnormal, I think the Derek Mason one is the more impactful one just because he had such a good first season.
So I wanted to ask you a question that I think it was a couple of days ago. We had somebody call in and they asked Jason Caldwell the same question. Do we give Brian Harsin the benefit of the doubt? First year, kind of, first time down in the SEC in the South. Probably not used to what Auburn likes and everything like that. Is this something that we kind of that the Auburn fan base kind of need to take lightly, or do they really need to hammer it in to try to do they need to really freak out over what's going on down in Auburn?
Yeah, I mean, what I've learned over the past week is about 50-50 in terms of people who think along with your first line there and then people who think your second line. And it's pretty much impossible to change the opinion.
Radicals everywhere, right? Radicals everywhere.
It is impossible to convince somebody that the sky is not falling at Auburn. And at the same time, it's also impossible to convince somebody that, hey, there are a bunch of serious issues right now. I think both can be true. And I think that's probably the logical way to look at things right now while it's, we haven't even started spring practices yet. Have there been concerning trends for Auburn in the transfer portal and in the coaching staff? 100%. We have 20 players right now who've left the team in the transfer portal. There will be a few more, maybe as soon as today, but there will be a few more this week. I know that for a fact. And then the coaching staff, you've had both coordinators turnover, a couple assistants since the beginning of last season. It's just not optimal. It's not what you try to do as you're entering your second year. trying to create some stability. At the same time, you can really look at some of these in the context of some of these situations, maybe other than Derek Mason, because I just don't think that's a good look on the whole. I really can't find a way to spin that any other way. But, you look at some of these situations, and a lot of them aren't dire. It's really going to depend on what this team looks like when we get to spring practice, and once you kind of figure out what this roster makeup looks like. But on the whole, they're just going to need a better offense. They're going to need to increase their offensive ceiling a little bit. However that comes, I think their defense has enough talent, even with some of the transfer guys and even with the new coordinator. They're going to have a top half defense in the SEC. They're going to be carried by it like they have over the past 4 or 5 years. They need good quarterback play. They don't have an established, reliable starter on this roster right now. Zach Calzada is probably the best one. But he was even a guy who said when he committed, he told me that the number one reason he committed was because of Austin Davis. He wanted to be coached by him. He wanted to work in his offense. And so now, just things are changing left and right. So interested to see, once we get a chance to talk to Brian Harsin a little bit more about this, interesting to see what he's got plans for spring practices in terms of some of this roster management right now in the transfer portal moving forward, because there are some pretty dire positions of need. Offensive line got a lot of help, but defensive line has had a lot of transfers. What are you going to do to help you out your quarterbacks? We'll see the answers here of the next month, 2 months, 3 months, something like that. But I don't think it's time to panic yet. But at the same time, don't just turn a blind eye and act like a lot of this stuff is normal and not cause for some sort of concern.
Nathan King from Auburn 24/7 has been on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline with us. And Nathan, appreciate all the info that you give us with everything that's going down on the plains. Great work that you did today. Great work that you did today, sir, and much appreciate the time.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good week.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Man,
woo!
That is a good point.
Yeah,
it is it seems like the sky is falling, but the sky really isn't falling.
It really isn't. Because it's funny because it's like when Alabama fans a lot of times think the sky is falling when there's like a 2-loss season, or you know what I mean. Like it's funny when you look at it and it's like you don't know what's going on. Like, you're not the coach. Like, everyone always wants to have a say on what the coach might be thinking or what might be going on in the program, and it's like, you go get thrown into that fire. Like, do you think that you right now could go do I couldn't do that. No way in any. I would try to find the best staff possible, but my goodness, just the turnover. Imagine the way that Nick Saban's been able to keep coaches and even getting rid of coaches and getting new personnel in. Still to contain
the
Saban
Rehab
success,
program has
sustain that success.
The Saban Rehab program has earned a status of being the best of the best for some of these coaches that are goodness, he gets all these, now they call them proteges and all that, but it's just like, you get they're going to call Bill O'Brien a Saban protege now. After
he's from the Saban tree because he was there for a year.
He's from the Saban tree, even though he's from the Belichick
Brian
tree.
Daboll is from the Saban. That's why Brian Daboll got the job. Okay, it's because of the Saban. It's like when everyone made that joke. What was it, a couple years ago, where if you shook Shanahan's hand, you got a job. So like McVay. And
McVay, Kyle Shanahan, and who was the third?
The guy for Green Bay.
LaFleur,
which is hilarious that LaFleur was the quarterbacks coach during that Super Bowl run for the Atlanta Falcons, and they didn't hire that guy and kept Dan Quinn for another 2 years. So, it's funny. Like we sit here and joke about it, but it's just crazy how it's kind of like when they're talking about the offensive coordinator for the 49ers. It's just like, that guy does not look like a football coach, but that guy might be a head coach of a football team because of someone he knows. You know what I mean? He knew Shanahan. He's going to be a head coach somewhere. But that's the thing. It's like, I feel like nowadays when we look at a lot of these coaches that we knew before that were like pretty decent head coaches, in their past, wherever it was college or NFL or whatever. And now that they're going to be assistants at Alabama, it's like we talk about a rehab clinic.
Lyle can be a Saban protege. Lyle can most definitely. But 256-576-4977 is the phone number to get in. On Twitter, I'm at Rose Scholar. He's at Gwathney Chad. stations at 977 ESPN. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we get back, pillow fighting. Is it a thing?
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thom Abraham here from my friend Ross Roberts and his team at Valley Equipment Rental. Coming in April, Valley will have a second location opening up on the North Parkway between Winchester Road and Bob Wade. They'll be offering bigger contractor-only type equipment, including 10K reach forklifts, 300 series track hose, and larger rollers and dozers, along with other equipment. Valley Equipment's 2 locations will better serve the region and allow them to grow their fleet. Valley Equipment Rental, locally owned for 10 years, where they put more care in every rental.
What began in a backyard in the 1920s is still going strong today. In this area, the name Gibson means barbecue. And even after over 65 years in Huntsville, Gibson's is trusted for delicious barbecue pork, chicken, ribs, freshly baked pies, and the best breakfast in town. Family owned and operated for 4 generations. Gibson's Barbecue, South Parkway in Huntsville, and online at gibsonsbbq.com. Gibson's Barbecue, Huntsville's best since 1956.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
I love overpriced stuff. Avocados, designer t-shirts, artisanal water. That's why I get my internet from the other guys. Paying more for the same stuff. What could be better?
Wow is better. For just $19.99 a month, we give you the super fast, extra reliable internet you need. Act now before this deal is gone. Internet 100 for just $19.99 a month. Plus, learn how to get up to $300 on us. Sign up at Huawei.com. Wow. Limited to new customers with auto pay and paperless billing. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Unfortunately, we're talking about rain through a good majority of the afternoon. The good news here is that temperatures are actually going to be somewhat warm, highs hanging out in the low and mid-50s, so we're not talking about a disgustingly cold rain. Rain is going to continue as we head into the overnight and then through a good majority of your Thursday as well. Temperatures on Thursday climbing into the mid and upper 50s. Some of us could actually see the lower 60s, but again, we're talking about a healthy opportunity for widespread rain through a good majority of Thursday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is the only place for Drew DeArmond, Wes Neighbors, and of course, Thom Abraham.
I never met him, but I hear that he's a man of character.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Be sure and join us today from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back to the Thom Abraham Show. Thank you, Moulton, for that nice little introduction, even though it won't be you and Wes Neighbors at with the drive tonight. It'll be Drew DeArmond and Keith Neighbors helping you guys with National Signing Day as we go through number 2 on the signing day of this off season. And granted, there's not much to say. We'll just go through it right now real quick. It's still the same as it was like a week, 2, 3 weeks ago. According to 24/7, A&M is still the number 1 overall class, followed by Alabama and Georgia at 2 and 3. Ohio State, Texas round out your top 5. Penn State, Notre Dame, Michigan, even though Harbaugh is in Minnesota right now, interviewing for the Vikings job, is sitting at 8. That might be the biggest thing out of all of this, because the Harbaugh rumors are going to be going way up now since the Dolphins have a Michigan man as their owner, but he is in some deep doo-doo, or legal-wise, and I really want to get into this, and it seems a whole lot of things. There's a broken system, obviously, with this whole Rooney Rule, and everybody, like, you try and get by. People have their certain people that they want to have come in and coach. They have specific nuances or specific ways to do things that they want to do. And for Bill Belichick to be brought into this, because he did not he Belichicked himself before he did not Belichick himself before he wrecked himself. But for him to text the wrong Brian in his coaching tree, and then Flores realizing that the Giants were already leaning towards Daboll, which honestly, in the interview process, I've been a general manager of a restaurant. I've done interview processes for managers. I will interview a manager and almost be dead set on them if, say, like, I talk to them on a Tuesday. Yeah. And then I've got another interview scheduled for Thursday, but it's already scheduled. So do I be disrespectful and tell them, yeah, no, you can't interview? Or because then, I mean, who knows? Yeah. The interview, you might come and blow me away, and I might change my mind. But I've already got my mindset on the person that I interviewed on Tuesday. And with Belichick coming out and accidentally texting Brian Flores instead of Brian Daboll, that's where I say the sour grapes feels like, is because Flores realized that he wasn't getting the Giants job. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we start getting this class action suit come on.
It's just weird. It's a very sticky situation, because like it's kind of like where you just don't want to like stick your hand into it. You don't really want to, like, you don't want the backlash, because at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, it's really hard to debate on whether it's, you know what I mean? Like, I would get mad, but I mean, like, I've been picked over for a job before too. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it hasn't happened to other people before. And I feel like in the NFL, there's a lot of great coaches out there that are assistant coaches that just should definitely get the job, but maybe it's just not a right fit for them. Who knows?
256-576-4977 is the phone number to get in, and it is a sticky situation. It's one of those that if we don't know all of the details and us trying to speculate is only going to make it worse. And granted, we're talking about it, we're discussing it, and it's just one of those things that we can't stray away from it because of how big of a story that it has actually become. And on the line right now, we've got Gator. Gator, welcome into the show. How are you?
Hey, boys. How you doing? What's happening?
Can't complain too much. You?
Not too bad. I was curious, though. You guys seem to – I think the big story is that maybe they only were interviewing him just to fulfill that rule that they have to interview an African-American.
Oh, of course. Of course. There's always –
No.
I didn't hear you guys mention I don't think that might have been a factor when it came to the hiring process, but I'm not going to be the one to throw accusations and shade when I don't know the full story, whether that was the thing or not.
Well,
you
they
know
have
what I mean?
they have to follow the Rooney Rule.
Yeah,
that
of course,
isn't automatic.
Of course.
I mean, so
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that this is like a way to circumvent the Rooney Rule. Basically, is they already know that they're going to hire the other person, but they just bring somebody in to interview them just to circumvent, basically appease the people who put that rule in place, but they're not serious about actually hiring a person of color.
Right. And it's not even just being a person of color. It's just you're scheduling interviews because you have to abide by this set rule right here, and you've already made your decision. So instead of announcing it on, say, like Friday afternoon, you could have announced it Tuesday after you did the second interview with Dayball.
I hear you. My question is there a chance old Billy Bells there was drinking when he sent that? You know, I think it seems like he might have been a little bit under the sauce. You guys like to tailgate? That's where I got my nickname from. They call me Gator because I'm all about that tailgate. I'm going to get a big bad boy tailgate going on for the Super Bowl.
Woo!
My wife's not happy. She says just because it's a Super Bowl doesn't mean you should be drinking, Gator. We've been over this. You know, you've gone to the treatment and everything, and a Super Bowl is not an excuse. I said, guess what? The Bengals are playing, baby.
Hey, I would be partying all night long if I was a Bengals fan right now. Are you kidding me?
I'm not even a Bengals fan. It's just I was trying to explain to my wife, like, yo, it's the first time they've been to the Super Bowl in a long time. So
that's a reason to party. That's a reason to party. That's what I'm talking about.
He's giving some Frank the Tank vibes right here.
I'd love you guys to talk to her for me because, in all seriousness, or like just somebody else to come in and explain to her the importance of Cincinnati making the Super Bowl. She says, well, what about the importance of our relationship, the fabric of our relationship, and also just the serious, issues of trauma from your childhood that you're not dealing with, that you're just choosing to drink and sort of ignore. And I said, the Bengals are going to win it all, baby.
Hey, football cures all. You know what I mean?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys keep it rocking. I love you guys. I love sports. I love to drink alcohol, and I'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it.
Held it.
Appreciate it.
That was something that I did not expect to come out of nowhere. But
I bet she treats him well. Come on now, to be able to do that. Come on now. He's got to do things though back, to make her happy, to be able to do those types of things, to have those types of parties. So I'm sure they're just fine.
Gator's one of those guys that sounds like one of those that would say, "Don't tease me with a good time."
Exactly. It's like, we're gonna throw a party. Why? Oh, just because the Bengals are in the Super Bowl, baby. Like, I mean,
oh my God. We got Bama Bino on line too. Bino, welcome into the show. How are you, sir?
I was gonna say, you sound good on the radio, Smoking Hot.
Thank you, sir.
Just want to let you know you're sounding good. I was going to comment about the ball game last night, but I got to throw a little pun in there, You mentioned the express show about it being Groundhog Day, right?
Oh, yeah. Like we did a little Groundhog Day clips from earlier in the show. Yeah, of course, I had to put some Bill Murray on there, man.
I don't know officially in sincerity if he saw his shadow or not, but I heard a rumor that
6 more weeks.
Since it's close to Scranton, Premier Biden's hometown, I heard that he didn't have a mask on, and they made him go back in. So, but I didn't know if he'd seen it or not because he didn't have a mask on. Fauci told him to go back in. But anyway, the ball game was good last night. We're not clicking as good, but we're clicking better, and I just think Auburn's got a great team.
It's a hard pill to swallow, isn't it, Bino? I mean,
I hate to say it, but I like Bruce Pearl. I hate to say it. I love Nate Oates too, and I'm glad to have him. But Bruce has been there longer, and when Nate's been there as long as Bruce has been at Auburn, which he ain't been there that long, but Nate's only in his third season, fourth.
I believe it's actually the second, isn't it? Because COVID year was his first year, right?
When he's there 4 or 5 years like Bruce Pearl, I think they'll be neck and neck. And I think Alabama will be a football and basketball state, which is pretty well already is now. But I mean, we've come up big time in the last 2 years.
Well, don't forget also the state of Alabama is a gymnastics state, and with the way the gymnastics meet went this past Friday, there was a little bit of hatred going on in the social media platforms, and even involving some political figures that was going on with that. So
I didn't hear about that. Yeah, and also about I don't since the kneeling on the flag, I don't follow pro ball as much, but we've got some local guys, and I follow Alabama guys, and I live close to Fort Payne, Alabama, so I'm on Sand Mountain, and I mean, we got to support Evan. My Lord, I told Eddie, I said, it's going to come down to the last play, and sure enough, it did, and I saw his brother kick last year against Scottsboro. He was kicking it out of the end zone on kickoffs and through the upright and out of the stadium.
McPherson's about to become the next Carlson in the kicking world.
What did he call him?
I
Zach?
think he'll beat Carlson out.
Whew.
Yeah, Carlson's got another year, but
well, I mean, it's
I think
also
he'll beat him out.
like with Carlson, you got Daniel and Andrus, but also like say I'm bringing up like Cole. Like if you brought up punter and you brought up Colquitt, you would think of the Colquitt family that was going on.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Ray Guy and the Colquitt family is punters, yeah. Yeah, that's...
showed up on the Falcons roster this year.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing that Colquitt was on the Falcons.
Yeah, one of them showed up on the Falcons roster this year. Couldn't find a
I'm
punter.
old enough to remember the Colquitts.
Oh, well, I mean, the Colquitts, I'm
You
old
don't have
enough
to be-
to...
you don't have to be
I'm
that
old
old,
enough
B.
Yeah, I mean, they were... let's see, Dustin, and let's see, who's the other one besides Dustin? And I can't remember, but both of them went to Tennessee like 2000s. So, but the Colquitt family, I mean, had a resurgence.
Well,
Britton
Colquitt, thank you.
Something that was older, and in the 80s it played. It might not have been a brother. But,
oh, it was the daddy.
Yeah, the daddy. Like probably Wes's age, or a little older.
Right. Something like that, right around there.
When Johnny Majors was coaching, which he coached till the late 80s, but early 90s. But I tell you what, Evan, I know his family kind of, not just real personal, but they're well respected. There's three of them, and but this one is going to Auburn. I'm telling you, I saw him. I was a kicker and defensive back in high school and college, and I'm going to tell you, he can kick a ball. And he can punt a
the
ball.
McPhersons can kick the ball. I mean, it is.
You're just bred for it. Like you said,
Yeah.
the Carlsons, the McPhersons, it's the last name. You're bred for it.
Well, he broke the state record, I think, 61, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
And they said,
I remember him. I remember seeing him kick one, or was it his little brother? Was it last year? Kick one in practice. It was It was at least 60. I think they were just messing around, but he just chipping 60s in practice.
One of my best friends, Charles Carter, his brother Jerome works at Fort Payne High School on staff, and he said that ball would have been good from 67.
I can have a cannon for a leg like that.
Bino, we got to hit a break here real quick, so we got to let you go. But much appreciate the call.
I just wanted to support you. It's good to hear you, and we love y'all.
Thanks, you, Bino. By the way, the wife decided to chime in, too, with that Bengals collar with Gator and says, happy wife, happy life, and the Bengals aren't going to tuck him into bed every night. So the wife is saying that right there. But anyway, we got to hit a commercial break. We're going to give you what to watch on TV. You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that. Chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, 2317 Memorial Parkway. Check out our menu and even order online at BadDaddy'sBurgerBar.com.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is your big game headquarters all fall long. And with our new fall features, every day is game day at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Try our pregame starters, including our homemade onion strings, always fresh hot lips, and our all-new Buffalo Dippin' Chicken appetizer. Our main events include incredible chicken, fish, and shrimp selections, always featuring local Alabama Gulf seafood. And don't forget our Sunday Blitz, 11 to 6. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Hey there, UAH fans. I'm Morris Lilienthal. If you've been injured in an accident, visit morristheattorney.com right now to get the help you need. Don't let the insurance company take advantage of you. I have personally helped over 4,000 clients with their injury claims, and I'm ready to help you too. My firm, Martinson & Beeson, has been helping clients for over 80 years, and we have received over 300 5-star Google reviews. Get in touch with me right now by visiting morristheattorney.com. There's no charge for our meeting. Again, that's morristheattorney.com. Look forward to helping you. Go Chargers.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
For over 20 years, Audio Insight has been designing and installing systems that integrate today's technology into homes and businesses all over the Tennessee Valley. At Audio Insight, they don't provide one-size-fits-all system solutions. Instead, they design your system from the ground up based on your valuable input. By working closely with you, Audio Insights can ensure that your system will meet your performance, budget, and aesthetic needs. Visit the showroom at 1229 Putman Drive off Jordan Lane and experience some of their fine products firsthand. Visit audio-insight.com to learn more.
Did you know Prilosec OTC can stop frequent heartburn before it begins? Yep, I said before. Block heartburn at the source by taking the Prilosec OTC 2-week challenge. With just one pill a day, you get 24-hour heartburn relief. That's all day. Start the 2-week challenge today at prilosecotc.com and live heartburn-free. Just one pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
We cover all the SEC schools, including Western Union and Venmo.
I want that money!
You know, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
So I'm going to watch it on TV.
The game's on. Oh, I almost forgot. I'll be right there.
We like sports and we don't care who knows. From shooting hoops to the Super Bowl. We like sports and we don't care who knows.
Football, tennis, hockey, golf.
The game is starting. Everyone is here. I got my snacks, my friends, and a beer.
So I'm going to watch it on TV.
Are you ready for the football? A Monday night party!
So I'm going to watch it on TV. So I'm going to watch it on TV.
What to Watch on TV is brought to you by Audio Insight. As Audio Insight, they do a great job mounting televisions, mounting audio, do all of your needs that you need around to make your display look absolutely amazing like he does right here in the studio. And, you know, I didn't even bring this up. We got this now new here banner that if you're watching on Twitch or any of the streams that we got going on with Twitter, Facebook, etc., that, I mean, this thing looks pretty sharp here, Chad. I mean, my goodness gracious almighty. Anyway, what to watch on TV tonight? New season, well, let's see. Should I go sports-wise first or should I? Yeah, we'll go sports-wise. Let's see what's going on. Got Kentucky and Vanderbilt, SEC Network, 6 o'clock. What else we got going on here? It's NHL. It's Puck Night on TNT. NBA's got ESPN, or ESPN's got the NBA. But honestly, for me, I got the Twitter notification earlier during the show. Book of Boba Fett Chapter 6 is coming up. That's a wife and me thing right there, as well as you got a brand new season of South Park coming on Comedy Central tonight. The post-COVID specials have been absolutely fantastic on Paramount Plus, and I am ready for a new season of South Park. But also, it's Wednesday night, and you know what that means, right, the Chad?
What is this?
AEW Dynamite.
Oh, okay, sorry. It's also some basketball around ESPN, which I'll probably be watching the Grizzlies and the Knicks, so I can watch John Morant dominate Tom's pitiful New York Knicks. Which, I mean, they're playing really well, but
Knicks
anytime you can just beat up on the Knicks is great.
The Knicks are outside of the playoff spot right now.
Yeah, I know. I know. I just love to crap on them. I mean, it's the Knicks. Come on now.
Anyway,
but then you got the Nuggets and Jazz right after that, so I'm probably gonna end up watching that tonight. There's a lot of hockey on TNT tonight too. I think the Blackhawks are playing. That's gonna be. If you're into hockey, there's a lot of that going on. I think the Blackhawks, who are they playing tonight? The Blackhawks are playing the Wild tonight at 8:30 on TNT, and then before that, you got the Oilers and the Capitals at 6 o'clock. So,
well, if you got ESPN Plus, you can get the whole hockey slate.
Yeah,
right
if you do have ESPN Plus, you can get everything, which is great. I love that. I just love being able. That was the thing about me, kind of like as a soccer fan, just being able to watch sports that weren't getting televised. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like. A lot of times where if I couldn't get a Braves game, I was just hoping to get whatever ESPN game was on, just so I could watch whatever baseball game was on that night. You know what I mean? Because it's just I just like being able to watch weird, different. You know, I like seeing other teams play. You know what I mean? I don't like. It's like football. We get to watch all the football we want or whatever games that they give us every weekend. But when it comes to baseball, it's like you kind of get the pick of the litter. You know what I mean? Because sometimes they'll chalk load a weekend where. An MLB night will be Braves, you know what I mean? But as a Braves fan, you're like, yes, you know what I mean? But it's like, could be a night where you just get Red Sox, Yankees all the time, you know what I mean? And it's just like, I don't want to see some other teams play, you know what I mean? Some other teams and the Yankees or Red Sox might be bad that year and they'll still play the games because it's the rivalry, you know?
Exactly. So. Well, I teased this a little bit earlier in the show and I completely forgot to do it in the last segment and discuss this thing that I saw on TV. Well, I didn't see it on TV, but I saw it getting promoted on TV as Fight is one of the pay-per-view providers that I use because of AEW as well as other like independent wrestling going on. Majority like New Japan's another one that I go through Fight. But Fight put out something this past weekend that just baffled me. Would you like to know what it is, Chad?
What was that?
Pillow fighting. The pillow fighting championships.
It sounds cool.
Pillow Fighting Championships, and the name of the event, Pound Down. Now,
that's so weird.
Now this is a real thing right here. Real thing. Pillow Fight Championship. This is actually the perfect segment for the Pillow Fight Championship talk. Oh, let's see. Now, all the skills is like with the Pillow Fight Championship, the fight card is featuring competitors, and this happened this past weekend. One guy that was in there is former UFC fighter Marcus Brimage, who, if that name sounds familiar, if you are aware of one Conor McGregor in the UFC, his very first fight was against one Marcus Brimage.
Guy's trying to make money any way he can.
Now, PFC CEO Steve Williams, he wanted to express to the fans that this is a serious sport. Pillow fighting is a serious sport. Quote, "It's hardcore swinging with specialized pillows. The only difference between our fights and MMA fights is that nobody gets hurt."
What? How? I feel like I feel like you still get whiplash or something. Like I remember as a kid I could get whiplash from getting hit with a pillow from a bigger kid or like a bigger friend or something like that. Or you know what I mean? Like you just get hit in the back of the head and you're like, what was that? You know what I mean? I mean, that's some serious whiplash. You get hit with a freaking pillow.
But yes, pillow
Were
fighting.
they softer than most pillows or something like that?
Who in the
Tempur-Pedics?
studio you think would be the best
I
pillow
got my
fighter?
pillows over there? What?
Who in the studio would you think would be the best pillow fighter?
In the studio?
Yeah. Between us. Wes?
Wes will just have a pillow and then just like grab one of us and just smack the crap out of us. I mean, he's that big of a man. Are you kidding me?
The paddle for every ass.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be a paddle. It wouldn't be a pillow. It'd be a paddle. It'd be half of his hand would be the pillow.
You know,
Are you kidding me?
I mean, I'm 6'1",
That man is ginormous. Half of his hand would be the pillow, and it'd just be smacking you across the face.
I'm 6'1", 260, and that man's sky scares me a little bit. He's yoked.
And some inside stuff. Yeah, you should.
Who do you think would be the worst in the pillow fighting?
The worst?
Yes, the worst.
Probably me. I'm small. Y'all just team up on me or something. Y'all are bigger than me, so it'd take a lot to hit y'all.
Chad, you're
with a
easy
pillow.
to beat up on.
I mean, exactly. I mean, Tom does it every single day. So, I mean, my goodness, I'm sweating right now.
Pillow fighting.
Yeah, that's wild. I love it. I think that's cool, but I think it's kind of a stupid sport because it's like, I mean, come on, man. It's like that guy used to be a fighter, and it's like this is what you're resorting to. I mean, but if he's making money on it, hey, more power to him, I guess. I'm a professional pillow fighter. It's pretty sweet.
Oh my God, pillow fighting. Anyway, coming up, let's see. Tomorrow we got a pretty good show coming on as we've got Jason Swain of the Swain event. Of course, when Thom is out, I have to bring in former Grissom High graduate.
What's awesome, 3 Grissom grads. How awesome is that? All together on the radio station. By the way, Huntsville did win the area championship. Huntsville will go on and be first in the area. They will host the area. Grissom will be second, so Huntsville will end up playing Albertville, and then Grissom will end up playing Sparkman. So if Sparkman had beat Huntsville last night and Grissom won, there would have been a freaking coin toss for who would have been first in the area, which is absolutely ridiculous. It shows you how much talent there is in North Alabama, especially for basketball, and hopefully all of that can transition over to football. And that's why we're going to talk to one of the best tomorrow. That is Jason Swain, who was one of the best in North Alabama and at Grissom. I know that for sure. Well, I know you do as well.
Yeah.
So
we also
got
awesome. We've also got Steve Merrill from Pro
Steve
Sports
Merrill, great
Info.
dude. I love Steve Merrill, man. He's an awesome dude.
Talking lines. Well, we might even get a little NASCAR talk with that clash going on at the Coliseum. But next is Chuck Oliver, followed by Paul Feinbaum, followed by The Drive with Drew G. Arman and Keith Neighbors. You are listening to the Thom Abraham Show right here on 97.7 The Zone.
Get your Ford your way today. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and we've got F-150s in stock right now. We have F-150s on the ground so you can climb behind the wheel and take a test drive today. Plus at Woody Anderson Ford, our 2021 F-150s come with $1,000 in bonus cash, along with financing as low as 0% for up to 60 months with your good credit. This offer ends February 28th. To be clear, these F-150s are in stock today, ready for your garage tonight. Now let's talk about making a custom factory order. Not only is there no extra cost to custom order, but you'll get $1,000 off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates on 2022 F-150, Explorer, Ranger, Expedition, and Mustang. Go to WoodyAndersonFord.com and you'll see how easy it is. And speaking of easy, our service department is now offering free pickup and delivery when it's time for your next Ford service. Ask about it at Woody Anderson.